Hello everyone. Apologies up front. I'm testing out a new video recording software, so I'm not quite sure about my audio levels and how that's working out, but we'll hope this will be okay. And covering just the basics of audio, since I'm starting the course off a little bit differently, just to get that going. And what that means is that we need to remember some basic audio properties. I'm going to go up into options and the audio status, which will bring up sort of an audio interface box. Cool thing is this is actually a functioning Max patch. If we could open it up, we can unlock and see it's made with Max interface elements. Things we have to worry about, just our output device for now. On the Mac, it's Core Audio. It'll be whatever you're running on Windows as your system, your actual physical device that you're listening to. In this case, my MacBook speakers. Then we have the properties, sampling rate, I/O vector size, and signal vector size. Sampling rate, we know about that. The input-output vector size, this is how many samples are moving at a time to your interface. Because it doesn't send one sample at a time to the interface, it sends them in a vector group. This affects latency. Smaller numbers, less latency latency, but more processing power is required. And the signal vector size is how many samples are getting operated on mathematically at a time. And that affects some timing accuracy when you get to the small part. We'll talk about these things more later. Right now, it doesn't really matter. If your computer starts to bog up, you can make the I/O vector size a little bit bigger, and you can make the signal vector size a little bit bigger. And you can close this for now. So we can turn audio processing on, either, go back here, either through the audio status window, or if we close this, we can do it down here in the patch. Although it's not turning on just right now, I have to lock it. And it's not, because I don't have I don't have an audio interface in my patch. So a little mistake, I'm leaving that in. Let's go and add the audio interface or an audio interface object to the patch. So I'm going to type in for new object. I'm going to put my cursor down here and type EZDAC. Just the EZ will bring up some auto completion. And I can hit return. And that now, you can see in the bottom, turns on my option of turning the patch on straight from the corner. So audio on, audio off. So when the audio is off, it's not processing. You won't be able to play back. It's also saving the computer some power if you're editing and things. You can lock the patch. I can also click on the icon. That turns my audio processing on. So turn that off. I'm going to command click and unlock the patch and add a few more objects. Now, if you notice when I was typing this in, EZDAC, and I could add another one, you notice it has a tilde at the end. This tilde sign, all the audio objects in Max have the tilde sign at the end. You can think of it as a sine wave, and that was sort of the programmer's thinking. It's this last little character. It's above, it's to the left of the number one key on your keyboard. But autocomplete will usually bring this up for you. So it add another one. I'm going to add just a very easy thing. And I'm going to bring in some audio from my desktop just to show some more basics. So let's go with, what do we do? We can go with that simple guitar, opening of Jimi Hendrix. Just line it up. Now this is a playlist object. And I'll even type in a comment. Playlist. And I can use Command J, or under arrange, I can, or my object, I'm sorry, I can fix width. And it shuts down or resizes the object to fit the amount of text that's in it. Okay. Moving over the outputs. has a signal 1 output, and it's a little hard to see, but signal 2 can bring that in. And now if I lock the patch, turn audio processing on, I can play this. All right. So we don't have a lot to compare to yet. You'll see it in some other patchers. But the patch cords between audio objects, anything that's running audio signal from one object to another is striped yellow and black by default. Kind of a bumblebee. That means it's running audio. For instance, if I were to put up a number box just to look differently and attach that to another number box and connect those two objects, they're not running audio. It just has a gray patch cord. And so that's just a message. It will send whenever the message changes, but it's not sending all the time. Audio objects are sending at the sample rate in the I/O vector or the signal vector size. So there's some differentiation in how that works. Can select them and delete them. Now, just one last little basic thing, and I'll go through to make sure I'm doing that. If I want to select objects when I'm unlocked, I can mouse over them, and they're selected. You can see the bounding box, which would let me delete it or undo if I realized I made a mistake. But if I want to try and get patch cords, and I drag over, nothing happens. I can click on them, but if I want to get multiple, I can shift click or hold down the option key, drag across, and I'll start picking up any patch cord that I connect to. I would also get objects if I drag over an object, even while I'm holding down the option key. So it gets patch cords and objects. But that lets me get the patch cords. I'm going to delete them. I'm going to add another little object. So type in for object. And this one's a live.gain. And it is a combination level meter and gain control. Now I'm going to open up my info because the playlist is kind of wide. I can make this a little more consistent. If I go into info for the object and find its orientation, I can change that to horizontal. Now I have a horizontal gain slider and meter. So connect audio output to audio input, channel 2 to channel 2, and you see it's popping up with the assistance bubble to tell me. And then out 1 and 2. And now I'll turn on looping so it'll keep going. It will play the whole thing because I haven't selected. And there's going to be more about this object in the next video. But if I adjust the arrow, grab the arrow, slide it down, get softer, louder. And it shows me how much change as well. So nice. And just one real quick thing. As part of the overview, I'm going to unlock the patch again. So you can see me locking and unlocking by clicking. I'm command clicking. So unlock. Just with messages, I'm going to type M for message and type the number 1. So a message doesn't have the same square rectangles from an object. Let me get an object. Let's just say over here, note N, which will bring me a MIDI note. And you see an object like this has gray bars at the top and bottom. The inlets and outlets are a little more prominent. If I mouse over them, I see them on the message. But the squared off corners. So this is different. This is an object that performs a function. Message just has one single function. And that is if I click on it, it'll send out the contents of the box. So it's like typing in a constant. And I'm going to connect it to the playlist. And what that does is that this is the first item in the playlist. It's number 1. If I click on number 1, it will start playing. And if I type another message, M, and a 0, connect it, now I can click on my numbers. And click again and it stops. Now I'm going to do more detail about this, but I just wanted to give you the basics. So for any audio processing to take place, you need a DAC of some sort. I like the Easy DAC, which looks like a speaker. Audio is running on the striped patch cords. Messages are running, and non-audio messages are running on the gray patch cords. Just using a playlist to play something, and I'm going to talk about this in a little more detail in the next video. That's all I've got for this.